alluded to prioritizing when it comes to the question of infrastructure development. Something that at some point in time in Nigeria's history was not what anyone bothered about. You had the resources, and if you wanted to build a road, you just went ahead, and sometimes political considerations beclouded those judgments. So let's hear you about this prioritization.
Yes, I was coming to that to say that within this abandoned projects concept, you begin to ask yourself, how are the projects selected in the first instance? What informs the selection of projects and the site location? Are there feasibility studies? All those theories we learn about project development that we all are taught in schools are having 4 stages at the level of defining and organizing the project, planning the project, managing the execution, closing down the project. Are they there in our project selection? Can you cite any major project that has feasibility studies that indicates all the risks along the implementation strategy? And there are projects that are complex, that require diligence. There are other projects that are minor at the level of ministry levels. Over 57,000 contracts are alleged to be abandoned at various levels. And so when you put all of them together, you find at the core of the abandonment of projects is inability of us to give intellectual content to our infrastructure delivery. Somebody say, oh, because I have a 10-lane road in my area, then another area must have 10-lane road, whether there is economic justification for that or not. So we find ourselves at a level where we are just like a man who has 2 wives. You buy one car for you, must buy one for me. Whether I need a car, I know how to drive or not. So some areas don't need some of the infrastructure we're putting our money on. Some others need, but we're just grabbing them because it is done in zone A, it must be done in zone B. In the process, we spread our money so thinly that nothing gets developed. And so you now ask, how do we develop these projects? Who are the contractors? How do you select them? Do they have the capacity to deliver? Because if you do so, you would have done risk analysis on project delivery. Part of the risk is inability to fund. And then if you have inability to fund, how do I get money to fund it? In some cases, we have had to freeze some projects. Shagarin building, where the SGF is now, started long time ago. The same thing with Foreign Affairs Ministry. Same thing with Head of Service building. At a point, this matter came up in one administration, and they froze all new buildings and devoted money that is available to finish those 3 major projects. The Shagari building where the HF is now, the Foreign Affairs Ministry now, and the Bullet building. And moved Foreign Affairs from where they were in Wuse to that, and allocated some offices to that. That is the way to manage it. When you look at your projects, you will have to find a way of freezing some. Remember, the contracts are under agreements. You can't just easily walk away. But then, you have to look at projects that have attained some level of completion and say, hey, let us prioritize them. Any project that has attained 85% or more, we will devote all our monies and get it completed. And then from there, you begin to reduce the cachet of uncompleted projects in your portfolio over a period of time. But then, what has happened? At a point, government said no more new projects. And of course, the system went around it and began working with our National Assembly. Our National Assembly has a very big role to play in this. Because I can have a project of 30 million, for instance, and then I get it done for 3 years. I pay the contractor 15% or 30%, maybe giving 10 million. And the next year, there is no provision for it. That project has become abandoned. If you go around the whole country, as simple as primary health centers that cost at 5 million, 15 million, are all abandoned. Let's not even talk about big projects. I'm talking about small projects. Because project is initiated by one honorable member, he is no longer a National Assembly. The next person comes, he doesn't provide for it, and then the project becomes abandoned. They're all over, littered all over. So if you ask me, Government should freeze all of them. If you get any budget, if you get Nigeria's 2022 budget, it's in 3 volumes. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. Every single project is ongoing. Every single. See them. Even as projects as small as 4 million, 400,000, 300,000. I won't mention the ministry, but it's there. Ongoing. Even programs that are supposed to be consulted, that programs are captured as capital projects. So it's not so much about government, it's all about us as a people. Who is the government? Government is the public service.
Okay. All right. Okay. At this point, we have